So I wasn't really going to start with this, but I figure we need to know who gave you the nickname Britt Lightning.
Okay, well, that was me. That was a self-given nickname. Basically, when I started my band Jaded, I wanted to have like an alter ego. I just didn't want to be known as Brittany De Niro, and I had some stage fright too, so it helped me to become a different persona. And at the same time, I had been struck by lightning before through the TV, so that's a true story.
Wow.
But I also thought it would be cool if everybody in the band kind of had names after the elements. So I like lightning because that epitomized everything that I loved about guitar playing and wanted to be bright, flashy, fast, electric, and striking. Yeah, and then I came up with the name Hillary Blaze. My drummer was Blaze for fire, and so we all had names, but mine really stuck. Actually, Hillary still uses hers. She's a Boston gal. And she plays in the Judas Priestesses now.
Oh, wow. I didn't
Yeah, the
realize
all-female Judas Priest tribute. Yeah,
yeah,
she's a
I didn't
great drummer.
realize your nickname went that far back.
Yeah.
Well, not that far back, but 2005
Yeah,
or
pretty
something.
far back. Yeah. Since I was about 17. So yeah,
So I
16.
know you grew up in Massachusetts, and I saw in an interview or heard in an interview that you said you were 20 minutes from Boston in the woods, and it piqued my interest. Whereabouts did you grow up in Mass? Because I'm from Mass too.
Okay. Well, I grew up in Natick.
Oh,
Um,
Natick. Okay.
yes. But my parents moved from there since, but that's where I grew up.
Natick. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's pretty close. I went to Framingham State right down the
Okay.
road
Yeah.
from,
We're rivals.
yeah. Oh, you went to Northeastern though, right?
I did. Yeah.
Was your household like a musical household when you were growing up?
No, not at all. Honestly, my dad has like one Hank Williams record. My mom liked the Beach Boys and stuff, but nobody ever like sat down and introduced me to like, hey, this is the Beatles. This is something you got to know, or this is, I was never really introduced to music at all like that. And I got into music just because, well, I enjoyed listening to it as a kid growing up. And I played the flute in school band, starting in about fourth grade. And and then I didn't really find a good groove for myself. Growing up with grunge music at the time, like that didn't inspire me to play guitar. And it wasn't until on a whim that I heard Eruption by Eddie Van Halen in a store. I was running errands with my mom, and I didn't even know what it was. And it blew my mind. And that led me down the path of guitar and 80s rock and Van Halen. And then Van Halen was like the gateway band to all
Yeah.
the other 80s rock. And then I was like, oh, this is the stuff. This is cool. This is what I love. And then I started playing guitar just from hearing Eruption.
How old were you when you started playing?
I was about 15.
15.
Yep, summer before high school.
I remember hearing in an interview that there were boys playing instruments in your high school and they wouldn't let you in the room. So
Yeah, so basically, I went to a private Catholic school, and we didn't have any extracurricular programs like music or arts at the time. And so there was an after school club called Guitar Club that I had stumbled upon. I didn't really know about. And when I popped my head in, it was all boys playing in there. And they were like, do you play guitar? And I was like, whoa, I mean, I'm not great yet, but I want to, and I'm going to. And they were like, well, if you don't play guitar, you got to go. And yeah. And so, but that gave me good motivation to be great and be better than them.
yeah, I wonder where they are now.
Yeah. So they would always play, I would always hear Metallica. So I was like, I'm going to study Metallica nonstop. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to play that solo better than anybody in here.
Now I know about Jaded. Now, was Jaded your first band, or were you in another band before Jaded?
I played in another somewhat local band. I was in, remember Daddy's Junkie Music
Of
Stores?
course.
And so I was shopping for a head and a half stack because I had thought that I had outgrown the practice amp for my bedroom. Not like who needs a half stack for their bedroom, but I was like, I definitely need a half stack at this point in my life. So I was just trying out heads, and the store manager, actually, I was just sitting there playing a bunch of Metallica. The store manager came over and he said, hey, like, you sound great. I have a band. It's original, but we sound like Metallica. And we just lost our guitar player, but we need somebody that plays like exactly what you're playing. Do you want to join the band? We have a 2-week tour coming up. And I was like, tour? I'm in high school and I'm thinking like, yeah, all I can think about is going on tour. So I got back home. I told my mom that I joined this band and I was going on tour for 2 weeks. And she was like, like, you're a kid. No, you're not. And you're in school. And I was like, no, I'm going to get all my work. I'm going to still do it. Don't worry. And they were all older guys, you know, in their 20s and stuff. And so everybody had to come over to the house, meet my parents, explain exactly what this tour was, what goes on tour. Like, my parents were clueless, and but they actually let me go, and it was the
Wow.
best experience. We went as far as Baltimore. And I just remember being on my own, like going for a walk after a gig. And, you know, it's great to hear strangers tell you that you're great. You know, your friends growing up and your parents tell you, yeah, that sounds good. Like, yeah, you seem like a guitar player, but you don't really know if you are when you get out into the world out of your circle of friends. And, so that was good validation for me. I was like, wow, other people that don't know me think that was great and said I'm a good player. And I had this other, you know, overwhelming sense of freedom being on the road away from parents, about anybody telling me what to do. And, you know, had a couple beers and, you know, drinking underage.
And
And
you were how were you only 16 when you did
I
that?
was 17 at this point. Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, this is awesome. And I just knew at that moment, that's what I wanted to do. I remember walking down the streets of Baltimore on my own and thinking, like, yeah, freedom and travel and playing music and meeting new people. Like, this is the life I want to live.
Did those guys try to keep you in their band?
Yeah, what happened? I was in the band for maybe, gosh, I don't know how long. Yeah, I was in the band for a while. We did local shows and stuff like that.
And it was
And
all Metallica covers?
no, it was original, but the band, they kind of compared themselves a little bit to Metallica. It was like, it was hard rock. It was just kind of Godsmack meets Metallica style. Yeah, but then eventually I just wanted to do my own band, and I always liked playing with women, and I wanted to start an all-girl band. And then we went to Jaded from there. Yeah.
Was there someone like, I don't know, Lita Ford or someone that influenced you, like Runaways or something that you heard about them and you're like, I want to do that? Or
Yeah, at the time it
Vixen,
really wasn't the
actually.
run. Yeah, at the time it was Lita. I thought she was so
Yeah.
cool. And then honestly, Vixen I thought was awesome. And
Yeah.
those were like, because I really listened to like 80s hair bands at the time, because I just thought the guitar playing in those songs were so fun, and you know, those solos were just so all over the place and exciting. And yeah, at that time I wasn't as familiar with the Runaways. I was more like 70s. And so I just knew Joan Jett, but she didn't really solo. So I wasn't super influenced by her at the time. And I thought she was a little more punk rock, and I liked more of the metal, but I thought Lita and Vixen were amazing. So full circle here.
Yeah, you're a kind of an anomaly. I love using that word, in a way that you were like into playing lead, and and there weren't a lot of bands like that around. I mean, Boston has some famous metal bands, but not a lot. It's not a really big, huge metal place. You know, it's more like indie rock, college radio. Was it hard for you to kind of get it going with Jaded when you saw what was going around?
You know,
Going on
at the
around you?
time there was a cool rock scene. I have to say, I thought there was a really cool rock scene. Maybe that was around like 2005-ish.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking
5,
earlier than
6.
that.
Yeah, and I thought the scene was cool. We had friends, and I dug it. When we kind of fizzled out, or just called it quits for the time being, I had felt like the indie stuff was just so big, and I didn't like any of it. No, the scene had changed, and I was kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, you're a metalhead.
Yeah.
So I heard that you went to Europe with Wasp. It's funny, I heard that, and it just reminded me that I met Chris Holmes once at the Rainbow in LA.
Oh yeah.
You know who Phil Mogg is, right, from UFO?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had to babysit him for a couple of days when I worked for Metal Blade, and he wanted to go meet some friends at the Rainbow, but he didn't tell me who. And we get there, and of course Lemmy's there, and John Entwistle was there, so I got to
Wow.
meet both of them. And I'd seen Lemmy before, but I never was with someone that he knew. And then he goes, "Oh, they're my friends," and it was Lita Ford and Chris Holmes. And
Yeah.
I got to hang out with them, and Lita was so cool, but Chris Holmes was one crazy dude, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Was he with Wasp when you went to Europe?
No, he was not. He was not. So, but I've heard stories about that. But we do a lot of shows with Lita now, and yeah, she is so cool. She's one of my favorite people. I just think she's just the real deal.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
there's
I love
no,
her.
yeah, she's just the real deal.
Jaded broke up because you guys couldn't keep a lead singer. I mean, that's the
Yeah, for the
word.
most part, we went through so many lead singers. I don't know, it was a lot of jealous boyfriends or this or that, or, you know, just not reliable for various reasons. And it just got, it's hard replacing the voice, you know, it's easier to maybe replace a bass player or a drummer or something like that. But it's like when somebody's like liking the voice and they're fronting the band and their personality up there, it's hard to keep replacing. And so, yeah, I kind of was just like, I needed a break. I wasn't sure if I was going to take a break long-term or not. But at that time I was like, I just need a break from doing all this. And I was booking the band and kind of managing everything. And I just kind of got overwhelmed with it.
You did a good job because everyone knew about the band, that you guys had videos and everything. So it was a good start for you. I'm really curious to hear about this audition. Is it true the first time you auditioned for Lady Gaga?
Yeah, so I was living in Alston Brighton area at the time, and my neighbor was a guitar tech for and still works for Alice Cooper, and he said, you if you're just all burnt out on this band, you should just be a gun for hire. And I was like, what's a gun for hire? I didn't even really know what that meant. And he was like, yeah, you play for an artist. You're not really in the band, but you're hired like an employee, and you just show up and plug in your guitar and play. And so you'll get the joy of playing back because you don't have to worry about everything else. You just show up and get to the gig and play. And he said, Lady Gaga has an open call. She's replacing her whole band, looking for drummers, bass players, guitar players, backup dancers, everything next weekend in New York City. You should go. And at first I was like, I don't know about this, because I grew up reading like The Dirt and, all in the Aerosmith books and all these, Van Halen books and autobiographies about bands that were like gangs. They grew up together. They lived in the Motley Crue house. It was like you lived, eat, and breathed each other, and that was it. That was your life. And I wanted that lifestyle and that connection with my bandmates. So at first it wasn't appealing, but I was like, you know what, whatever, I need a change. Let's just see what happens. So yeah, I took the train from Boston down to New York City, and I went to the audition, and I got the call back, and I got the next call back, and I ended up rehearsing there for quite a few days. And then finally, she wasn't there at the first call, but then eventually she was there. We rehearsed on a sound stage and it came down to me and this one other guy. But at the end of the day, she chose the other guy. But everything happens for a reason. I know that now. It didn't at the time. At the time, I was like, well, I guess I should probably hang up the guitar and do something else with my life, because obviously I'm not meant to do this if I didn't get my very first audition. No, that's ridiculous. But I was discouraged, and I was like, damn, because that would have been a great opportunity. It was her big Monster Ball tour, stadiums and stuff like that. But as luck would have it, I played in front of so many people, because there were so many people auditioning that day for all the instruments and positions, that a lot of people saw my playing. And so I got to know a lot of people. And a few months after that, somebody called me that had seen me at that audition, and they were an MD for a Latin band. And I got that gig from that. And that was another stadium tour. So even though this stadium tour didn't work out, it worked out in another way. And I do think it was for the best. That was one of the best times of my life. It was incredible playing with all these amazing musicians. Half the band didn't speak English, so I learned Spanish. I learned so much about different cultures, flew all over, and it was wonderful.
Alejandro
Great.
Sanz,
And it opened
right?
my mind to new music, because it was, very Spanish inspired, a lot of like flamenco undertones and things like that.
Alejandro Sanz.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that must have been amazing, doing stadium tours in South America. What a place. I've
It
never
was,
been there, but I see whenever you see concert footage from there, it's incredible.
yeah, it was beautiful.
So eventually when that was done, you just gave up with trying to do it here, and you like, I'm going to LA, and you moved to LA. And was that around 2015?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Very good. Yeah.
Okay. Now I know that you were in a Guns N' Roses tribute band out there for a while, and you
Yeah.
had you played with some other people. But the thing that was interesting to me was that you worked at Universal Records. Now I didn't mention this, but I know you went to Northeastern. Were you in law? Because I heard you say you worked on contracts in an interview.
Yeah, I did take you know, some copyright law classes and things like that in the music business program. You could select, you know, certain classes. And I did always choose the legal classes because I always found that to be interesting. So I don't have a law degree, but I did learn a lot about how to read and write contracts.
You know, I've worked in the music business my whole life, and you know, it's kind of like if you want to be in a band, it's like something you got to do. But I can't imagine. I've not known other musicians that have worked in office situations, but it probably wasn't the best situation for you.
No, so what happened was, you know, I got to LA and I didn't have a gig, and I was, yeah, doing little gigs here and there, but I didn't have a big gig that I was kind of had gotten used to there. And I was like, wow, and LA is so expensive. What am I going to do? And I was like, oh, maybe it's time to just grow up and like get a real job and use my degree. And, you know, Boston didn't have as many opportunities to work in the music industry. A lot of labels were out in LA. So I was like, I always thought it'd be cool to work at a label. Maybe I'll get into that. Yes. And I found myself doing, as a legal assistant in the corporate offices in Santa Monica. But at the time I was living in Hollywood, you know, I wanted to live right in all the craziness. And so the commute, okay, the LA traffic is real.
Oh, I know.
You know, and that commute was over 2 hours sometimes in rush hour, both ways. And so by the time I get home, and you got to be there like 9 to 6. So I leave my house at like 6 a.m. I get home at like, I don't know, 8 p.m. after traffic. And my whole day's gone. The last thing I want to do now is to start practicing guitar or go out and network. Like I was just exhausted from sitting at a desk all day, not from doing too much work, but just like, you know, it's a different lifestyle. It's hard to,
Yeah.
I'm not used to sitting at a desk, and I have no problem getting work done. I love to work. I love to focus. I like to do computer work, but I don't like being stuck on a routine schedule. Like, you know, like now I do a lot of work. I also work for the Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, and I do a lot of computer work, but I can do it, you know, I'll do part of the work outside. I'll do part of the work, you know, I move my location, I move around. I feel like I can go take a quick walk if I need to, but that feeling of being chained to a desk was just like killing my soul. And even though I thought the work was very interesting, worked on some cool Taylor Swift contracts, some big contracts. So I learned a lot there, but it wasn't for me. And it was actually my mom, who's always been a great influence and always a great voice of reason. She knows me so well. I was calling her on the way home, complaining like, this sucks, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, you know what? Do me a favor. Do not pick up the phone and call me again. I don't want to hear from you until it's tell me that you've given your notice and you're quitting, because this is not you. And I'm sick of hearing it. And I'm the one that has to hear it. And I'm sick of it.
Yeah, she probably knows, just like the rest of us, that you're a rock star and there's no way you should be in an office. She probably knew that.
Oh, I did give it the old college try, though. I really did. I tried to be normal, but no, not for me.
You know, I was out there for a long time, and I actually worked at A&M, which was Sunset and La Brea, but I never lived in Hollywood. You're pretty brave to live in Hollywood.
Yeah. Oh, I saw some interesting things there for sure. I've since moved out of the immediate Hollywood area, but you know, it was fun because you always wonder, like, what's it like to just be in Hollywood? And I always wanted to know that. So I decided I better just go right in it and get my fix.
So how did you get on Vixen's radar?
You know, I was playing in that Guns N' Roses tribute band and playing at the jams and stuff like that. And then their manager had seen me and knew that they were looking for a guitar player. So then they invited me. He was like, I think this is your girl. And I think a lot of other people had recommended me at the same time too. So they had heard my name enough. And so they were like, oh, let's bring her down and have her audition.
No, I know you were young when they were popular in the late 80s, early 90s originally. Did you actually like them when you saw them at first and think, wow, I want to be in a band like that?
Oh yeah, big time. Because, you know, well, I always wanted to, like I said, I thought the Motley Crues and stuff were cool, but I wanted it to be a girl gang. I thought that there weren't enough, you know, women in rock. And I thought Lita was so cool. And I had already thought Vixen was so cool. And I actually grew up watching Gem and the Holograms before I played guitar. And I thought that was amazing. And when I discovered Vixen, I was like, oh my God, Gem and the Holograms are real. Like, I was just like, wow, that's exactly like them. That's the coolest thing ever. And then since Jaded, I had missed playing with in female bands. Even though the Guns N' Roses tribute I was playing in was a female band. And so I always gravitated towards that. I always loved that.
It's interesting. When you joined the band at Roxy, Sharon, Janet, and you replaced Gina, right? So there was 3/4 of the original band. That must have been pretty cool. What was it
Oh,
like when you first met them and you're like, wow, this is the three originals here, you know?
yeah, I was nervous. I was definitely like, I was definitely just like, this is really cool. Like, one of the pinch yourself moments. And I was just trying to be cool, like stay cool. Like, don't, it's just rock and roll at the end of the day. So just
Did you get the
do what you
gig?
do, play your rock and roll. That's what we all do.
Did you get the gig right away, or did you have to like compete with other people for the gig? Was it an audition
I
type?
just went down and did a private audition. And actually Janet wasn't there. But we had her on video. And so I played the songs with Sharon Roxy.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I know you played on the live record, Live Fire. Is that on vinyl?
On vinyl?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Oh, I got to get a copy of that.
The initial printing was white vinyl, and now it got repressed on red vinyl, and that one's still available.
I love vinyl. I have to get a copy of that. Did you listen to a lot of vinyl when you were young? Because you were growing up in a period where vinyl was on a down low.
You're right, but I was super into all things retro and still am. So, yeah, I actually had a jukebox, a 1959 jukebox, and it was filled with all old, really cool 45. So I had a good
Nice.
45 collection, but some vinyl as well, some regular
I
vinyl.
I have to tell you this now. I met the band, the whole band Vixen on a plane. It had to be like the late 80s. I actually talked to Roxy for a while. She was like really cool. I think she was impressed that I knew Madam X, but I have to show you this. I have a prop. After when I met them on the plane, they gave me an
Love it.
autographed picture. And
That's so cool.
and this is great. This is what Roxy wrote on the photo. She wrote, "To Steve, remember drummers do it better on bare skins. Roxy and
Oh my
roll."
God, that's so Roxy.
We hit it off pretty good. We talked on the plane for a while because I recognized them right away. You know, not everyone recognizes the rock stars, but I was in the business at the time, so that was pretty cool. And so I know that you were around some pretty cool people. You know,
Yeah,
I know
they're all
Roxy.
amazing people. And that's what I have to say. And what is most important to me about playing music these days, after doing it for so many years, is like the people that you play with. You want to love the people that you play with. It's important because you spend a lot of time with them.
Yeah.
The time I spend on stage is very short compared to all the planes, trains, and automobile rides that you all have together and that you have to be real in close quarters with. So, and they're all great friends. And even though Sharon and Janet aren't in this lineup at the moment, they're still close with them all and really adore everyone.
Yeah. People out there listening, you'll have to watch the YouTube version to see the photo that I put up. Um, so Lorraine Lewis, I remember
Yeah.
her very well too. Femme Fatale was a really cool band. When she came on board, what was that like?
It was seamless. I have to say, her energy is so bright and open and welcoming. I just felt like I had known her my whole life. It was crazy. And she is like the female David Lee Roth. She runs around, commands that stage. I think she was the only person that crowd surfed in that huge festival, in the Wacken Open Air Festival that we did this summer in Germany. She's fearless and strong and very commanding, and has a killer voice, of course. And so it was very easy.
Yeah, it seems like the band is just refreshed, because there was a period there where there were a couple of different Vixens going on at the, way before that, different members were going out as Vixen. But now it seems like you've got like everything's falling into place. And I'm going to fast forward this single that you just put out, Red. Wow. I mean, it's really good. And you got to talk a little bit about making that video. You're the star of the video when you come walking out into the car. It's great. What was that like making that video?
Well, we all had our different scenes, and I love cars and stuff. So that was my scene, getting the keys to the car and taking off in this Corvette. We actually had a lot of unused footage that I wish was in it. We had drone footage of me cruising down the streets of Beverly Hills and stuff like that in this souped up Corvette. It's actually, that particular Corvette is illegal in LA because it's so souped up. But nobody pulled me over.
Nice.
Yeah, that making was so fun. We shot downtown LA on that rooftop. It was funny, when we were downtown on the rooftop, it started pouring right before we started shooting. And so you can't really see it, but it's raining. It wasn't pouring at the actual time, but it was definitely drizzling and cold. And we were all like, oh, our hair and makeup is going to be a mess, but it worked out. But that was, yeah, we shot all that. I think we did all that in one day, or 2 days, 2 days. Yeah, we did the inside shoot, which was at a studio, I think also in downtown, with the cool LED ceilings and floor. That was fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I like doing videos because I don't know. And it was good practice for live too. It's like you have to play it over and over and over for so many shoots that it's good practice.
Yeah, you guys look great in the video. Did you who was the director?
Vicente, this guy named Vicente. I'm drawing a blank on his last name at the moment. But yeah, he's great. He does all the Winery Dog videos. He does a lot
Nice.
of rock band videos too. Yeah.
So you have a manager now. I mean, you affiliate with a label as well?
Currently we're independent. We have released stuff on labels in the past, and we worked with the Rat Pack Records for our live album Live Fire, but we just did the single independently.
You don't really need a label anymore.
Yeah, and especially for a single,
Yeah, if you have a good manager, I mean, you should be able to get it all happening. I mean,
Yeah.
because touring, you guys can go out, and you guys have proved that you can go out. The songwriting process for Red, how did that go?
Good. Well, we had, we were in a room together quite a few times doing a bunch of writing, but this particular song was done with Fred Corey, and so a drummer of Cinderella.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so he is one of the prime writers in that one. And then he also produced it for us. So we worked with him in the studio a lot. So yeah, it was fun.
Did he come with a finished track, or did you guys work on a song with him?
Both. We all kind of tweaked it a little bit, but this one in particular was pretty solid.
Yeah, it was a great choice for a single in the video, and you guys look great.
Thank you.
I know you're going to Mexico City soon to play the Life After Death Horror Festival. 3 days of massive metal. I was looking at the lineup. You guys are on a great day with Lita, Dorio Pash. There's a real
I
rock.
love her. We love her.
Lacuna Coil and a bunch of other bands. You have to be excited about. Mexico City crowds are insane too.
They're the best. Yeah. And I know we're on a day with a lot of strong females, which I think is way cool. So I'm very excited.
The whole lineup for all 3 days is like a who's who in metal.
It is. I know.
Have you been to Mexico City before?
I have actually. Yeah, that was one of the first big shows I did with Alejandro. We did 2 nights down in Foro Sol, the big soccer stadium down there. I love Mexico City. Yeah, I plan to go visit the pyramids. They have these cool pyramids not too far, and the food is amazing. I love the food down there. So yeah, very excited. I got to brush up on my Spanish again. It's been a while.
Now, when you guys go to that festival, you're going to stay for the whole festival?
No. I wish we could, but we're not. Yeah, I think we might catch Saturday, but we definitely won't be there Sunday.
Well, I know something that you do have to stay for the whole thing for, the Monsters of Rock cruise, because you can't jump off the boat.
Yeah.
And once again, Ace Frehley, Extreme. You must know the guys from Extreme.
Yeah, they're awesome. And the Darkness is on this one. That'll be fun.
Glenn
Satriani. I love Satriani. So it's a great lineup this year. I'm very excited. That's always a blast. Love that cruise.
Yeah, and Glenn Hughes' name popped right off the page,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
so,
he's amazing.
How do you know Nuno at all? Because it seems like you guys would know each other because you're both guitar gods.
He's such a nice guy. Like you'd think, he's a guitar god. You think, ego and stuff, but no, he's so cool and chill. Very sweet guy.
Yeah, I've known Nuno for a while because he was on A&M when I worked there, but it seems like he's getting better and better as the years go on. I mean, just incredible.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's just, I mean, he practices a lot, I guess, because yeah, he's amazing.
So as far as your guitar style goes, I know you're influenced by Eddie Van Halen. Who are some of the other guitar players that you listened to when you were young or have influenced you over the years?
Zach Wild was always one of my favorites.
Zach.
All of Ozzy's guitar players, of course, Randy and Jakey Lee and everybody. But I was big into Zach, and when he came out with Black Label Society, I was super influenced by that. Kirk Hammett and James Hetfield, definitely. I always loved Marty Friedman. I was big into Megadeth too, and Dave Mustaine, and a big David Gilmour fan. Love just his soul. I was big into Pink Floyd growing up. Later I kind of got more into Jimi Hendrix and Jimmy Page, but initially I wasn't so into that style as much. But now, I think Jimi Hendrix is the best of the best,
Yeah.
But oh God, who else? I mean, there's so many great guitar players. Yeah, Nuno, of course. Uh,
It seems like you might like Brian May.
oh yeah, I love Brian May.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, why am I drawing a blank right now? Slash, a lot of the main ones. But I do remember Zach was the first rock star I ever met. I waited
Really?
outside for like hours, outside a line signing that he was doing at I think it was at a Daddy's Junkie Music. And then funny, fast forward later on. Oh, and I just remember too, I had this big list of questions I wanted to ask him, and I brought my guitar. I still have this purple sparkly Ibanez. That was my first guitar. He signed, and then Joe Satriani signed it, and I got Vi to sign it. But I just remember being so starstruck. I finally got up to say hi to him, and I was going to ask a question, and nothing came out at all. Out of my 30 questions I had, I didn't say a damn thing to him. But
It happens.
but then fast forward now, I'm kind of, working the rock and roll fantasy camp, and we just did a camp with Zach where everybody got to jam with him at the whiskey. So, and I did speak to him this time. So life works in funny ways.
I want to talk to you about that camp, but first I have to say I'm happy that you're on the East Coast with your family, but I'm disappointed that you don't have the guitars behind you that I've seen in other interviews.
Oh,
Do you
shoot. Yeah.
if you
I
assemble
do have a lot of guitars here too in the basement. My parents are like, if you don't play them, why do we have to keep them here? I'm like, well, I don't have the space for them in LA. I just like, don't throw them out. You can't throw them out.
so if you assembled a lot of gear over the years, are you like a guitar like junkie where you keep a million guitars?
Kind of, but not so bad. I know people that are worse. So no, I mean, I could have more for sure. But I am sentimental, and if I played it a couple times here, even though I don't play it now, I don't want to give it up. But I do need to sell some gear. I did good selling a lot of the amps and stuff, so I don't have the big equipment taking up space. I have a lot of pedals I need to go through because I have. When I was touring with Alejandro, I had the big TC Electronics G system, which is like a spaceship rocket launcher. It weighs like 100 pounds. And like, I'm not using that at all anymore. I've downsized so much. All I have is, I have my tuner. I have and then a wah, and then a boost delay in one, which 98 Audio is a great pedal company out of Connecticut. He makes custom pedals, and he created me this awesome lightning boost delay, so it's all in one. So I really only have two pedals that I use. So yeah, I've downsized there. So I got a lot I couldn't sell.
I don't know if you know this guy, but he grew up right near you in Framingham. He is older than you are. Dave Amato. He's the guitar player of REO.
Yeah, he's awesome. And he plays the guitar that I love to play, which is the Les Paul with the Floyd Rose.
He has a whole like storage space, and there was a show on. I watched the video. He has a place in the valley. You would not believe the amps and gear he has. It's incredible. It's like an addiction with him. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's easy to have that. I can relate. Yeah. If I had more space in a storage unit, I would be worse too. So I guess I'm glad I don't.
I saw Dave when REO played here. I went out to see them. Oh, I know what I was going to ask you because Michael Sweet was there because I used to work with Stryper when I worked at Enigma. You guys went on tour with Stryper. What was that like?
Yeah, we did. We've done a lot of shows with Striper. They're awesome. I love those guys. They're super cool. I love Oz's playing too. He's a good friend of mine. And yeah, it's a blast. I actually went up on stage with them and jammed To Hell with the Devil once. And I brought my
Whoa.
tiger stripe Jackson that I have a Bengal tiger stripe, yellow and black flying V. Brought that up with me. And so that was a lot of fun. But yeah, love those guys. Great people.
When I
Great
saw
company.
Michael, I told him I still have they gave us all engraved Bibles.
Nice. I have a Bible, but mine's not engraved.
Well, mine says to Steev Riccardo from Stryper. It's like, how can I get rid of that? I don't think I could throw a
You can't.
Bible away. That would be weird.
Yeah, you probably burn and help me that one.
So
No.
before you go, talk about Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp because you're really involved in that. And I was looking on your Instagram page and you were just hanging out with everybody.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. I started I was a counselor at the camp in 2019. Basically, there are these 4-day camps, and they're for all musicians of any playing ability. You can be beginner, you can be great in playing tribute bands, whatever, or any kind of band. But it's just a great hang for 4 days. You join a band of new people that you never met before. You have band rehearsals, you have jam rooms, master classes, Q&As with artists. Everybody eats together, and it's this fun. It is like a camp vibe, and you're just away from the real world. Everybody kind of puts their phones away, and you're in music mode. It's just music. We have long 12-hour days, so you're very immersed. And each camp is themed for a different, this past one we did was a metal mania camp. So it was metal. So we had Marty Friedman, we had Zach Wilde, we had Mike Portnoy, who just rejoined Dream Theater, which was awesome.
He
And
did?
mhm.
What happened to Mike Mangini? He just left?
I didn't actually read up on all the fine print there, but I think they just had been talking about it, and it was just time. And I'm really happy for Mike, though. I think it's pretty cool.
Is
So
that public yet, or did you just
it's
give me a
public.
good
Yeah, yeah,
scoop?
yeah.
Oh, I was hoping it was a scoop so I could tell
Yeah,
my Dream
sorry.
Theater friends.
But yeah, they went back to the original lineup, so it's very cool. And
So at Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, what is your role basically?
I'm the musical director.
That's
I
a
put the
busy
bands
role.
together, but I also kind of help plan the camps and do a lot of behind the scenes stuff too. And I put all the bands together, help to come up with ideas for new talent and new camps. And we've got one coming up in February in Los Angeles. It's an AC/DC themed camp. We've got Chris Slade from AC/DC. We've got Nancy Wilson from Heart. We got Dean and Robert DeLeo from Stone Temple Pilots, who are also a big influence. Stone Temple Pilots was a huge influence. I forgot to mention them. But and same with Nancy Wilson, of course. Yeah, big Heart fan too. So it's been fun. It's been really exciting, and we just did our first ever comedy fantasy camp with Adam Carolla and Jay Leno, and we're planning another one of those for early next year. And I started the all women's rock camps, where it's just women. Out of my love for that, and it's just they're some of the most amazing camps. Their first one, Melissa Etheridge did it with Nancy and with Kathy Valentine of the Go-Go's and
Oh, I
Orianthi, and
love her.
then we had Winona Judd and Lizzie Hale and Vicki Peterson of the Bangles do another one, and planning another one of those for 2024 as well. So all good stuff. It's so much fun, and it's really life-changing, those camps. So that's the best part of it all.
I could see you and Lizzie Hale hanging out.
Oh, I
Definitely.
love her. I think
She's,
she's a sweetheart. She's a force to be reckoned with. She's amazing.
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I know you're on vacation and I appreciate you talking to us. And I wish you nothing but the best. I know that Vixen's going to be out here soon. I'm hoping I can come to the show and check it
Yeah,
out.
we've got Mohegan Sun Arena. We're doing
Yeah.
a 80s rock invasion show. It's us, Stephen Piercy, I think Slaughter, and is it Great White or Quiet Riot? I forget.
Quite right. Yeah.
Quiet Riot. Yeah. Okay. So that's going to be a blast. Yes. Yes.
Cool.
Well, hope to see you there.
All right. Thanks a lot, Britt. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much for having me. Great talking to you.
All right.